Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had free agency and we started up the season simulation, and as you can see so far, we are 21-14-1, so doing pretty well. Also 7-3 in our last 10 games, and as you can also see, Asher Vance is off to a very good start with 29 goals in his first 36 games. I wonder if he'll hit 60 this season or if he'll have another 50-goal season or something like that. But regardless, Asher Vance is having an incredible season, and hopefully he continues to put the puck into the net. And because we are still having him signed, I think, for like 6 more seasons on his contract that we gave him, and then we're going to have to give him a ton of money, which means some of these guys that are on this team right now probably will not be there after that fact, just because I know that he's going to be demanding quite a bit after scoring 250-goal seasons, and then if he scores, like I said, 60 goals this year, he's going to be even asking for more. Like, he's on pace for a very good season, so excited to see what he wraps up the season with. But anyways, before we simulate the rest of the season and also make a trade, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from HockeyGuy88. He says, you should move out Datsuk and call up Lowry since the third pairing has been struggling and Lowry is NHL ready. That is the exact plan that we have to do, is to get rid of Datsuk. It's kind of weird to get rid of a young defenseman, but it makes sense for our team because we have so much defensive prospects in the system that Datsuk wouldn't eventually fit this defensive core, and this -2 has been kind of holding us back a little bit, it looks like. So we are going to be moving out Datsuk to another team, and then we would likely crawl up Gordon Lowry to play on that top 6 pairing. But you can see we have like Niittymaki down there, we have Potter, we have Ovechkin. Like, there is just so much, guys, and even Kavanaugh has a chance to becoming an NHL defenseman. So it's a lot of good defenders down there in the AHL. So it's like it's going to be interesting to see what happens to our defensive core over the next few years. Like, Cale Makar, how long is he here still for? Chernak, obviously, is probably gone at the end of this year. Korchinski is probably gone at the end of next year, which means we might have to we could trade him with the 1 year left because we have guys coming up. So I will keep on to him for the season, but he might get traded before the start of the next season or something like that, because that might make a little bit of sense. And yeah, the rest of our team looking pretty good. We also have some good forward prospects. So yeah, prospect-wise, this team is developing into a pretty good team. Very excited to see what this team is like going into the playoffs this year, if we actually make the playoffs, that is, if we continue on this pace that we're on right now. The next comment is a reply to himself from Yanni Pekka-Zavinius. He says, and by the way, I'm with the boys on regarding Datsuk. That minus chemistry isn't good. Good start for the fourth line. Now it's only about only the goalkeeping that's not working. I'd tweak the penalty kill still a little bit. I think there was a -3 chemistry there too. So yeah, once we trade Datsuk, we'll call up Lowry, get him into this top 6 pairing, and then yeah, then we'll probably go to the penalty kill and address that. He said there was a -3. Oh yeah, right here. Maybe once Lowry's in that spot, maybe that will improve. If it doesn't, then we will rework some of our lines a bit. But yeah, that line doesn't work right now. Maybe that's the line that's always minus. But then again, plus minus doesn't count when you're on the penalty kill, right? So I don't really know. And then the last comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says, trade Datsuk for some picks and bring up Lowry. So obviously we know what we got to do now, since 3 of you guys say to move out Datsuk, and that's exactly what I was thinking too. Let's find a trade for young Datsuk, and hopefully this trade doesn't come back to bite us in a sense, but like, it makes sense for our team to get rid of him with the abundance of prospects in the AHL at the moment. Okay, so let's go to our defensive prospects or defensive players, and how much trade value does Datsuk even have? He has a decent chunk. It's nothing too special, but should be able to find something here. So we got a 3rd and 4 from Buffalo, 3rd and 4 from Carolina, 3rd and 4 from Dallas, Florida, that type of thing. I guess we'll go with a 3rd and 4th from a team. I just want to make sure it's a team that would actually be able to utilize him, though, because some teams would probably just like send him to the minors. So let's take a look at Carolina, because I know for a fact that Buffalo would probably send him down to the minors, because I know they have a pretty good roster at this point, or solid roster at this point. Let's see, would Carolina actually use him in the NHL? They likely would. Okay. That's exactly what we need then. So Datsuk, you are headed to the Carolina Hurricanes after only 2 years here, I think. Yeah, after only 2 years. You're going to be a pending UFA soon as well. Solid defenseman, but he doesn't really have a spot in this lineup. going forward just because of all the prospects and stuff. So best of luck there in Carolina. Seems weird to trade away a guy right now, but makes sense as well. And we will call up youngster Gordon Lowry, who is the medium elite DFD. We could also call up like Avery Potter almost at some point, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Hope that he gets into the lineup next season. And we will throw in Mr. Gordon Lowry, which looks like a -5, but I don't think it is a -5 because it wouldn't make sense. I feel like this game just glitches out when you call up people. So we'll put Skirbic into the lineup on that top 6. And extra line wise, we have an extra attacker one as well. We'll throw in a forward. We'll throw in Ziska, the youngster Ziska. Hopefully he could get to the NHL next season. Him and the other guys be drafted. So there we go. Let's go back to edit lines. I think that's going to be probably our only trade that we make. Unless we get an offer that I feel like we can't refuse. So -3 still. We could try and move. Yeah, we'll move Chernak to the top 6. And how's that penalty kill spot looking that Yanni Pekka was mentioning? Still a -3, huh? Okay, so what we'll do here is we're going to move Chernak to the top penalty kill, though, just because I need to give him a little bit more ice time being on the top 6 if he's listed as the top 4. We'll probably put, Gordon Lowry here, and we'll probably put Brunstrom here. And because Brunstrom has, some of these guys don't really work that well. We could always take also... Is Hartnell on the penalty kill? Because if he's not, yeah, he's not on the penalty kill. So we'll put Hartnell in instead of Brock Besser. That should help out as well. There you go. Perfect. And one other thing we got to do to our lineup that I almost forgot about doing, it was to put back in Mr. Little. He's going to play back on the 3rd line, which means Stankoven's going to be scratched. But yeah, Little was doing really well with 8 points in 10 games, so I want him to be in the lineup. And he's still relatively young. He's 24 as well, but he might not have a huge role on this team going forward, but still I would like to have him right there. And that's going to be our lines for the rest of the season. Unless we have to make any other trades, which I don't think we're going to. Let me go to the trading block, though, quickly. Our trading block, and also take some of these prospects off, because I'm not moving up Patterson, Corrado, and Ziska. I literally just drafted those guys. Also not moving up Potter and Bobkov. So I'm going to just take those guys all off right now, because I just don't want AIs trying to trade me for those guys, because I feel like those guys are kind of essential for the team's future, but obviously we are trying to win as soon as possible as well. So it's just really tough because I don't really like parting away with some of my prospects, at least just yet, before they play their NHL debut, that type of thing, because it could come back to bite me. Also, if you're wondering why this episode is going up a little bit later than normal, it's because I'm literally recording this like about 40 minutes before you guys would normally see it. So if it's up on normal time, though, I made some really fast recordings, so I got to get through this season fast. Let's go to the end of January. Like I said, I need to get this episode up, just because I'm running a little bit behind for some reason today. I should have already recorded, and that's not a great start to the career for Gordon Lowry. Injures his knee. Let's just go replace player. Not a great way to start it off for him. Bobkov, was he injured in the AHL? No, he was not. Okay. I had to make sure on that case, just because the AHL team has some really good prospects down there, and now we're getting this stupid glitch again with it showing the AHL thing. I hated that glitch. It's so annoying. It wasn't Chernak. It was Nugent Hopkins we got to take out. No, not Nugent there. We got to go to Lowry. It's weird that Lowry's a left D man, but he... Or left/right D, but he... Actually, never mind. It's not weird. Huh. He's actually a left D. I could change him and Korchinski, because Korchinski would be more offensively minded than him, so... let's continue to simulate. We are kind of sliding a bit, which is not great. There's a win over Minnesota. Not taking a look at any of these trades yet. Bryson on waivers, I don't think it's necessary. He's not a bad depth defenseman, to be honest, but no thanks. Donald in second for Vesalainen in a third, no thank you. I don't think we really need somebody like Vesalainen. Wow, we're doing pretty solid all of a sudden. Yeah, we're doing really good all of a sudden. So those changes, bringing in the youngster Gordon Lowry, has helped out. We're 31-18-3 at February the 1st. And Asher Vance still off to a really good start. 37 goals, 52 games. He definitely is sliding a bit in terms of goals for per game, I think. But still over point per game, which is always great to see. Should easily hit a 50-goal season this year at least. But I don't know if he's going to hit a 60-goal season, to be honest. But we'll see if he ends up picking up the pace near the end of the year. Let's go to March the 1st. And continue to get this season done, and that's not great. Tristan Jarry has been injured with a strained hamstring, and he's out till March the 3rd, which means we got to call up goalie from the minors. So I guess Donald's going to get a chance since he doesn't go through waivers. Don't know if he'll ever get to play a game in these little stretch while Jarry is out, but hopefully he gets at least one game in. That wouldn't be a bad idea, just to see what the young kid is made of. And yeah, it sucks that Jarry got injured though, because now we have to rely on young Rudy Pitton, and hopefully Rudy Pitton can get us some wins. If not, that's kind of iffy, and it might hurt our record quite a bit. But let's continue to simulate. Niittymaki is second and a fifth for two guys that have really bad contracts in Studnicka and Hogelander. No, thank you. We're losing the shootout to New Jersey. Not taking a look at some of these trades because I know they're trying to fleece me all the time. Second in Brewer for a fourth and a sixth. So basically you're saying Brewer's like negative value in that second round. That's not even a good trade offer. What do you mean, New York? That second rounder is worth more than your fourth and sixth alone, and then you want a low top 6D, man. I don't get this one at all, because this guy's not even signed to his contract yet. That's a really weird trade offer. Might be one of the worst ones I've seen. We are losing a couple games here down the stretch, which is not great, but I mean, we're still above 500, so just got to find a way to get off the schneid. So right now, Rudy Pitton's not doing too well. There's a couple wins though in a row. Don't know if Donald's played in any of these games yet. There's another win over the Bruins, and Jarry is back. That's good news. Well, Son and the youngster Donald back down. He's actually jumped up to a 78 playing up here, and he did play 3 games. Or part of 3 games. He was 0-1 with an 857, so not really NHL ready yet for Easton Donald, but he is getting close. Those are some pretty bad stats, to be honest. But at least Jarry is back, and hopefully he could get our team back to winning some games here down the stretch. And we will put Donald obviously back in here. Hopefully the AHL team has a good year, because I mean, they're really stacked, so they should have a really good Calder Cup run. 35, 21, and 5, not bad. Where are we standings wise? We are currently in 3rd place in our division, only 1 point above the wild card, but in pretty good spot basically, because the last wild card spot in the Pacific Division is only at 63 points. So we're looking pretty good. Vance is now already at 44 goals in 61 games, so he's definitely going to hit 50 goals. He could hit 60 goals still, which is going to be insane if he hits 60 goals. I don't think I've had a 60-goal scorer since like Michkov in my Arizona series, so that'd be pretty awesome if that was the case. There's another win. Jarry's full health, which is good, and we lost 8-1 to the Jets. Jeez, that's a stacked Jets team though. I know for a fact that that Jets team has like Connor Bedard and stuff like that, and Rantanen and Kyle Connor on their top line. So yeah, that's a very, very nasty Jets team, and I can see why we lost to them. Let's go to the day after the deadline, because I'm not going to be making any more trades. I think this team is going to be set in stone. So let's see if we win this game on the deadline. And there was one big trade apparently at the deadline. Jeffrey in a second and Dietz for Denisenko. Interesting. Matias Michelli is on waivers. This is an interesting one. This is one of my favorite players right now in the NHL, just because this kid's kind of underrated, but how does he simulate in franchise? Good at the AHL level, barely plays at the NHL level, and does decent. It's also kind of funny he only has 5 goals and an assist. Like, literally this kid's like a pure playmaker in real life. Like, he has like, I think like 25 assists and only like 3 goals. It's ridiculous. Okay, so 36, 23, and 5. Let's continue to simulate here and get the rest of the season done. Kavanaugh's been injured in the AHL. That's not great, but we'll replace player for now. There's another loss. Come on, guys. Got to get those wins. There's 2 wins in a row and 2 losses in a row. So we're kind of being a little bit inconsistent here now at the end of the season. But we are in a wild card spot with 81 points. And yeah, it's still looking good because the Pacific Division is insanely weak. And yeah, the Dallas Stars are way below us, so we're still in a good spot. Vance should hit 50 goals in at least 70 games. It looks like if we score a lot of goals this game, we know that Vance likely scored. So let's go to the first, I guess, mine as well. Because we should be easily a playoff team unless we lose every single game this month, but don't see that happening. There's a shootout win, there's an OT loss, but we're still getting some points. Couple more wins, nicely done, and we're 42, 26, and 7, and we have clinched a playoff spot in 75 games. Nicely done. Vance has slowed down astronomically now to up to 51 goals in 75 games, but still another 7 games to go, so he could hit 60 goals if he has like a hat trick in a game or something like that. Some multi-goal efforts, I could see him still hitting 60. But point per game, loving Asher Vance. Yeah, we clinched the playoff spot, so that's good. We could just get the rest of the season simulated. So let's see if we get some more wins down in this last 7 games. And if Asher Vance could still hit 60 goals, because he was on pace to do that earlier in the year, and he didn't. He kind of regressed in some months. So yeah, look at this. Potter, Ninamaki, and Ovechkin are literally all almost NHL already. So we're gonna have some interesting decisions to make this coming off season in terms of who we let go of and whatnot. Oof. Cale McCarr's been injured till April the 15th. I think he's back for the playoffs, so which is good. So let's just go replace player for now. Is he back for the playoffs? Let me stop the simulation because I can't see the calendar. Yeah, he'll be back for the start of the playoffs, which is huge. If that was long term, that would not have been good. Game against Buffalo, 4-3 loss, and then we win against Colorado in overtime. So McCarr should be hypothetically back, right? Let me just advance a day, get the rest of the teams done and simulated. Yep, there he is. So I'll put Cale McCarr back in. That's huge that he's back right for this, because if he wasn't, that would be a very big blow to our team going into the playoffs. So there we go. Season has been simulated. 46, 29, and 7. Pretty good. And Vance finished with 58 goals, so just coming shy of a 60-goal season, but 58 goals, I cannot complain about that. That's a career high for him. He had previously back-to-back 50-goal seasons, and now he just barely misses a 60-goal season. So this guy's easily going to become one of my best players of all time, I'd say. Let's take a look at team stats and player stats first, and then we'll see who we're facing in round 1, and then that'll be it for this episode. So we finished 8th best in the entire league. The Jets ran away with the league by 21 points. Hopefully they're a first round exit because that team is stacked. Goals for per game, we were also top 10 in the league, which is pretty solid. Goals against per game wise, we kind of struggled, but we were kind of like... Yeah, we're kind of like just above mid-table, I'd say, so it's not the best goals against, but it's not the worst either. Power play percentage-wise, we were actually pretty good on the power play at 21.7%, but the Sharks, who had one of the worst records in the league, somehow had the best power play. Interesting. Penalty kill percentage-wise, we were around mid-table as well, it looks like, so pretty average in most things, it looks like, which is okay, because maybe that means we'll have a good playoffs. We also were up there in shorthanded goals this season, 20, 15, and 6 on home ice, 26, 14, and 1 on the road, and 7 and 3 in our last 10 games. Not bad. Let's take a look at those player stats. See who did what. So, center-wise, yep, there's Vance's 58 goals, 85 points. He shot 15.3% this year, and he had 17 power play markers. Damn. Look at those 123 takeaways as well. If I try him at center for a season... He honestly could be in the Selke race if he continues to win faceoffs like that and take away the puck quite a bit too. But look at this. 3 straight 50-goal seasons, almost 4 straight 50-goal seasons. Closing in on 300 career goals already at this stage, which is nuts. Hopefully this guy has a big playoffs ahead of him. Frank Nazar, 77 points. Pretty good from Frank. Loving to see it. He has been improving every year. I mean, last year he was on pace for more points, I think, or right around the same amount of points, and his plus-minus was better. But still a good year from Frank Nazar. Pedersen, 62 points, not bad. A -9, so his plus-minus Not great by comparison to last year, but more points than last year, so he's finding his offensive touch, which is good. Also, his potential dropped down to medium top 6, so he's not an elite player anymore. Kurashev in potentially his last season here, 46 points, pretty solid. Pinto, 26 points, love to see it, and a plus 20. Wow. So that fourth line did really well that we put together this offseason. Hopefully they played good defensively in the playoffs. And Stankoven had 14 points in 26 games before he got scratched. Left wing wise, Bales had 40 points this year, 27 goals. Not bad. This kid's doing pretty good goal scoring wise. Seems like a pure goal scorer. Probably because he got some power play time and whatnot this year. But yeah, looking pretty solid. And his ELC comes to an end at the end of this year, so we'll probably extend him for some term because I feel like he's a decent second/third line scoring guy. Donald Will, 28 points in 56 games. That's really solid. Obviously, we would have played him longer. He would have put up more points potentially, but yeah, that's pretty solid from Donald Little. He shot the puck quite a bit as well, so he's up to an 81 overall. Still listed as a depth forward though, so might be statistically based, but yeah, this guy's pretty solid. 27 points from Brent Hartnell is also really good, and a plus 18 on that fourth line. Recchi, 55 points this year. Not too bad. Not too bad there, Connor. Yeah, not too bad. He's getting better every single year. His plus minus not as good as last year, but still. He's up to 140 points already. More of a passer, which is also good because we have him next to Asher Vance. Halton in 47 points. He's progressing quite hard, so we might need to find a way to trade this guy in the offseason. Even though he's a solid forward for the top 6, his offensive production from 29 power play points all the way down to 6 power play points. I don't know if he's on the first unit. I don't think he is, but I don't really know about if he's actually worth this money. Like 8.75 is a bit expensive for a guy with a 47-point season, so we'll see about that. Brock Besser's starting to regress, which is not great. Only 20 goals this year and 38 points. Doesn't look like he got a lot of power play time, though. And Colasar, 22 points in a plus 21. Yeah, that fourth line was really good. Cale Makar, 66 points, pretty solid. Brunstrom and Korchinski both had 48 points apiece. Chernak, 15 points, even 0. And Len Morris might be a very terrible defenseman. Minus 27, and everybody on this defensive core other than him was pretty solid plus minus wise, so I don't really know what the case is. That's kind of weird. A minus 27 for him this year. He was a minus 16 in the AHL last year, so defense might not be a forte for young Len Morris. Hopefully he improves a bit next year. Lowry was a plus 13 since coming in, so that was really good from Gordon Lowry. And Nugent Hopkins had nothing in 9 games. Goalie-wise, Jari was pretty solid. Pitton was even better. Pitton had a 910 and a 283, so I am going to start Jari in the playoffs, but Pitton definitely has the reins to potentially be their starting goaltender for some of the playoffs. Let's take a quick look at the entire league and see who led the league in points. It's going to be Kyle Connor, Connor Bedard, and Mikko Rantanen. That top line is absolutely filthy. 120 plus points each. That is ridiculous. And then the next closest people are Matthews and Marner with 107 and 102. Unreal. Best goal scorer this season, Asher Vance. Let's go. Vance is going to win his first Richard, I think, or maybe it's his second. I don't know. I think it's his first, though. He had 2 more goals than Austin Matthews and 5 more than Kyle Connor. Let's go, Asher Vance. That's the first of hopefully many for him. So there's that. Let's take a look at some Selke candidates quickly. So the best player in terms of takeaways with a good face-off percentage, Barkov. Yeah, Barkov's probably going to be your Selke winner with a 56.2% on the draw and the second most takeaways. Let's take a look at the best defenseman in the NHL. Jeez, Quinn Hughes is still killing it. 95 points in 82 games. And then Cale Makar is there for us with 66 points. Yeah, that's easily a no-brainer that Quinn Hughes is going to win the Norris. Almost a 30-point gap between him and Makar. Unreal. I feel like EA makes him way too good. But then again, he is a good defenseman. So, best goalie this season, Drew Commesso. No, you got to be joking me. That's where he went. It was Winnipeg. He picks up a 52-win season. Jeez. That is incredible. He didn't have the most shutouts, so the most shutouts was Luukkonen. Best save percentage was Wallstead with a 919. Comesso up there, though, with a 914. And goals against average-wise by starter was Luukkonen with a 259, but Comesso right behind him with a 260. So I feel like they should probably give it to Comesso based on the 52 wins alone, but it really doesn't. I don't really know. They could honestly give it to Luukkonen too. So it's going to be interesting. Any goalie goals this season for fun? No goalie goals. Goalie assist-wise, Allen Felt and Comesso had 4 assists. Of course, Drew Comesso has a good year after leaving us, but hopefully he doesn't win the Stanley Cup, because that would not be great. And Sergei Afanaganov is going to be the Rookie of the Year. He had 39 goals in his rookie season and 65 points. There was a 40-goal scorer that was a rookie in Frolov who had 42 goals. A lot of goals from these top 4 rookies, actually. 35-plus goals each. So this might be a good rookie class that goes on to be effective to the franchise mode down the road. So there you go in terms of that. Let me actually take a quick look at our AHL team for player stats as well, because I am curious on how Rockford is doing in terms of like growth and stuff like that. Goaltenders are playing good. About defense, Nanomaki's having an incredible season. Love to see it. Solovyov, Potter having some good seasons. Ovechkin's pretty solid. Kavanaugh pretty solid, I guess, but nothing too special. Nighty's playing good. Yeah, it's good to see the AHL team doing well. They need to have a good playoff run. Ziska minus 13 on a good team is not great, but it is what it is. Kabanov has hit 28 goals this year, and he's almost NHL ready already too, and we just drafted him like literally a couple episodes ago. Crazy. Yeah, the amount of talent that's going to be jumping to our NHL team next year is going to be crazy. We're going to have to probably trade some of it away at some stage, though. Let's see who we're facing in the first round, though, and then we'll end this episode, because I do need to put this episode out as soon as possible. Like I said, this episode is actually going up the day I am recording this, so yeah. And we're playing Minnesota in the first round. Interesting. I don't know if we've really played Minnesota in the playoffs before. I feel like we have, but I could be wrong, because I always get my series confused sometimes. So Minnesota looks like this. Kaprizov, who's coming back from injury. Also Nate Danielson and Philip Zadina. Second line, Kirsten Vesalainen, who we were actually offered in a trade earlier this episode. Casey Middlestad and Matt Boldy. Third line of Landeskog, Rossi, and Anderson. And a fourth line of Gregor, Del Monte, and Michelli, or Tiny Michelli, or something like that. That's a really good forward core. You only have one guy that's a 79 and below. Everybody else is at least an 81. So yeah, that's a really good team there. A lot of veterans on this team, and some young guys, I guess, with Del Monte and Michelli. But everybody else is a vet. Defensively, they also look pretty good. Damn, this is going to be a tough matchup. Heinola and Addison, Roman Schmidt and Martin Ferravari, and then you have Frederick Festerling and Marcus Pedersen. Yeah, that's a really good defensive core as well. A little bit weak here with Roman Schmidt, but still pretty good. And goalie-wise, they have a really good starting goalie, yeah. This team is definitely I'd say a contender, the Minnesota Wild. Matthew Addison, who has been winning quite a bit of games. His 10 shutouts in his first 2 NHL seasons after playing 4 years in the AHL. Wow, and Minnesota came close to winning the Stanley Cup last year. So, yeah, Matthew Addison, definitely got to watch out for him. And Dan Vladar is a bit of a weak backup, but still a very solid team in terms of every area. So, it's going to be a very tough matchup for our team, definitely. But if Asher Vance can get going, then we definitely have a shot. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Minnesota Wild as we look to get to the second round and hopefully beyond that. It just relies on if like Asher Vance and our top guys could produce. So anyways, think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.